Alright, so today I'm here with Templestorm Noire, the most recent pickup from Templestorm, who actually just placed second in the July Cup. So unfortunately, Dynasty couldn't make it here, so I'm here with the sloppy seconds. So Noire, could you give a brief introduction for yourself for those who might not know who you are and maybe like your recent accomplishments?
I'm Noire. I've been playing competitive Shadowverse since 2017. Very recently picked up by Tempo Storm last June, and currently I'm rank 1 in PAM. Haven't won a tournament yet, but been consistently topping. I'm just having a pretty consistent performance. Yeah.
Alright, so I guess first of all, how are you feeling after that weekend? You know, second place is still really impressive, even though you weren't the winner. So how are you feeling after that?
Felt kind of okay. Mainly, I just wanted to be in first place in the standings. I wanted to be ahead of V2. So as soon as I won one game, I was like, okay, well, now I have almost nothing to lose. I just want to get as many wins as I can, but I know I've already reached like my minimum goal, But I still want to have like one week where I have like a performance that I'm really, really proud of, and I haven't quite hit that yet. So hopefully in the last 2 months, I'll be able to get a really strong showing.
You still need that flair, man. Come on.
Yeah, a monthly champion flare. Yeah, that's what I've been hunting for.
Wait, what flair do you use right now?
I use Princess Cup champion. It has champion, but it's not the champion that we need.
That's a normie flair.
Yeah, it's a normal flare. Yeah.
All right. So can you kind of explain your lineup and ban strategy for the tournament? You know, you brought Mech Rune, Blood, and Alana Haven. So any interesting strategies or techs you came up with? You know, how do you decide your ban? How do you decide on these three decks over the other choices?
Okay, so I think Blood, the hybrid Blood that I'm bringing, is probably overall the best deck, but it's also, I think, the most difficult deck. I think there are very few people who can pilot it at like the best possible level. And so I actually never banned Blood a single time. I was content with just playing against it. Mech Rune has a pretty good matchup into it. And then obviously the Mirror and Alana are pretty even. Generally, Alana can actually be favored against it if they don't pilot it absolutely perfectly. It's really hard to do that. So I was quite confident with Alana. I banned Lashena the most because Licked, the healing makes it really difficult for Mech Rune to really get anything going. And if that deck doesn't push damage on board that Lashena prevents you from doing, it's just not easy to get all the damage together. And then obviously it's good against Alana as well. So Lashena was my number one ban. And then I also banned Haven a lot. Didn't want to play the Mirror, and the other matchups are even at best. So yeah.
It's kind of interesting that you always ban Lashena even though you didn't bring it, because normally you, in a lot of tournaments, a lot of metas, you ban the strongest deck or what you are most scared of, But
so, yeah, I mean, I'm most scared of Lashena. It looked as a scary card.
I got you. Okay. So did you feel like any deck you brought maybe underperformed or maybe any deck overperformed than what you expected before you submitted? If you could make any changes to your lineup or deck list, like text or a different deck, would you have done it?
I wouldn't have changed anything. I'm really happy with my lineup and all my deck lists. I think they were all pretty good. I only lost in the grand finals because I messed up against Ambush Sword, so it's not my deck's fault, it's my fault. As far as like techs and stuff, I was really happy with Olivia in Alana. I think she's really underrated. She's extremely strong. Kind of fills a similar role as Angelic's might, but she does it across many, many matchups. Very strong against Blood, very strong against Rune, and obviously good in the Mirror as well.
All right, so Dino T in the grand finals brought Amber Sword and Lashena, which you obviously didn't bring. So could you kind of give me your thoughts on those two decks, why you didn't bring them, and how they feel into the meta right now?
Yeah, so with Ambush Sword, Pot was actually scrimming with that deck against me the other day. And what we found out was that Blood is really good into that deck. If Blood knows what they're doing, if they know how to time Azazel correctly, it's really difficult for Sword to get anything going. And Dino T did ban my Blood, but I felt that Alana would also be pretty good into it. It's got really big wards and just can kill people on board if they don't constantly clear. And in general, it's like Amber Sword is a really difficult deck. It's not aggro, it's pure combo, and knowing sort of which exact game plan to go for, because there are multiple ways for you to deal 20 damage with that deck, and you have to decide on a winning line early, and it's pretty hard to make that decision. So my other decks I felt were pretty good all around, so didn't see any reason to practice Ambush Sword. And then Lashena, not really a huge fan of that deck in general. It's really inconsistent. Well, not really inconsistent, but it doesn't give me a good feeling when I have to play it and when I have to mull for cards like Lashena and Maisha. And it has a tendency to lose to itself, which I don't really like to have in a tournament.
Right, like in the past, there are a lot of decks where you were always scared of, but you also hated playing stuff like maybe Daria, where you could just brick, and then but then the opponent always gets the God draw, so you always ban it, but you don't want to play it. That type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I definitely understand. All right, so now you're kind of like practically qualified for the Contenders Cup. Honestly, you're first place in standings, so even if you don't get that direct invite to the World Grand Prix, you'll probably get to Contenders Cup anyway. So it's going to be held in California later this year. How are you feeling about that? What are your odds? If you do go through Contenders Cup, how do you feel against the other 8 players to make it out? Or other 7 players?
Yeah. I'd be really freaked out if I only had to go to Contenders and didn't get the direct Worlds spot. Because it's just 8 people and only one of them gets to make it through. It's like a last chance qualifier is the way I see it. You want to get in through the being top of points. Contenders is just, by then, like, you don't know what the meta is going to be like. You don't know how well your opponents are going to prepare. And you have to do your best, but, like, it's super unlikely that any one player will make it unless they're just head and shoulders above everyone else. So I'd be kind of nervous going into that. And, I mean, there are a lot of other good players who are, like, potentially going to go to Contenders, like, there's DB Lumi, for example, and lots of other good players like AutoAim. So yeah, I'm just hoping that I make it through directly to World Grand Prix, so I don't have to worry about that.
They treat you well in Contenders Cup, not gonna lie. Last year I had a good time. So even if you do go, It felt like a mini vacation, but you do have to take it seriously.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
All right. So do you have any personal advice for maybe any upcoming players that are just starting out in the competitive scene, kind of looking to replicate that success you had this weekend, do well in these future tournaments?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty hard when you're sort of a new player because you don't really have the resources. You don't have people to sort of speak to and discuss the game with. And for one person, trying to make sense of an entire meta by themselves can be really difficult. Your ideas could be right, but you wouldn't really know until it's too late. What I would say is try to keep up with recent tournaments that are happening outside of your region as well. Take a look at JCG. Take a look at SVOs from other regions if there's been a recent one. And take a look at what's been doing well and see if any of those decks are, first of all, affordable for you and also like are in a class that you like or already have cards for, and just practice those decks. Just bring good decks, I think. Don't bring anything too gimmicky and just play well.
Definitely agree. Okay, so how do you feel right now about the whole Rebirth of Glory expansion? Are there any changes you might like to see? Are you overall satisfied with the current state? Maybe is there like a card you think is too strong or whatever? Clearly you kind of have a good understanding of how to succeed in this meta with all your recent success. And also, what is maybe something you think is really important in order to understand how to succeed in this meta?
Yeah, so let me start with that last point first. I think with this meta, more than even previous ones, I guess the matchup spread for every deck is just much more complicated now than it was before, because right now there are so many, like, arguably tier 2 decks that are pretty strong, maybe not at the very top, but decks like, Burn Rune, Mech Forest, all of these decks are pretty good, and you can lose games to them if you don't know what you're doing. And so knowing all of these matchups is really, really important. I actually lost a few games to Mech decks myself because I didn't really fully understand the Mech Forest matchup. But just knowing every single thing, especially all the different rune matchups, because every single rune deck is actually extremely different. But if you understand all of them, that is a huge advantage because not everyone's going to have that depth of knowledge.
Do you feel like there's a specific deck that is like essential to know how to play at a high level in this meta? Like maybe in the past, like mid Shadow era, people said the key to succeeding in that meta is being able to do those mirrors. That deck was really kind of high skill cap. So is there maybe a deck you want to put special emphasis on? Hey, if you want to succeed, you need to be good at this deck or whatever,
Yeah, you must be good at Haven, Alana. You must be good at Blood. And Blood can be either the full hybrid Blood, Mech Evo Vengeance, or it can even be just Evo Vengeance with no Mech, but I think the full hybrid is the best version. I would personally advise to stay away from pure Mech, because it just lacks options outside of its sort of, blowout moments. But yeah, if you're really good at Alana versus Blood, Blood versus Alana, and those mirror matches, which are really, really skill intensive, then that would be very, very good.
All right. So you just that last point. So overall, how do you kind of feel about the Rebirth of Glory expansion? Is there any deck you think is too strong, or do you think it's like a good balance, a good variety, right now?
I do like this meta. I wouldn't say that these are necessarily my favorite decks of all time. I do like Machina Rune in particular. It's really fun to play. The Hybrid Blade is pretty fun as well. Alana's kind of like, you do what you have to do. It's that kind of deck. I think the balance overall is actually pretty good after the recent nerfs. But with the patch, the buffs coming out, that's going to shake things up, and I'm not sure how things are going to go there. It should still be pretty balanced, I feel. Nothing too crazy happening there. People think that Kel is a little bit too broken. I do agree Kel in isolation is a little bit overtuned, but if you nerf Kel, Alana as a deck, I think would actually become a little bit too weak. So looking at things holistically, Alana's definitely a top tier deck. I don't think it's actually too broken. I think the deck does have some notable weaknesses. I don't think any nerfs at this point are necessary, in my opinion.
I mean, in the grand finals, you saw 5 different crafts being played, right? Because Dottie brought Sword and Portal, which you did bring. So
that's right.
That's always got to be a good sign, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a more exciting question. You were actually just in Japan this weekend before the July Cup, right? You were participating in Rage, and so that must have been, really exciting and kind of like a unique experience for you. Can you tell us how it was like playing against those Japanese players and, participating in such a large event and internationally for the first time? Is that the first time?
Yeah, first international tournament. Not my first live, but the first one overseas for sure.
Oh, you went to Montreal, but you're in Canada, so it's not international, but it's like a LAN event. Okay.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, at least. I didn't do too well. I went like 3-3, which is pretty awful by, I guess, my standards. Really, I guess it came down to me not playing at my best at that time, as well as me not having sort of the best matchup knowledge. I didn't really know exactly how to play Alana or versus Blood. I didn't know those matchups too well at that time. Obviously, I brushed up on those in time for SVO, but in Japan, I sort of faltered in those matchups, and I guess it was also just, inexperience. I don't think I was performing at my best. And, it was a worthy experience nonetheless, though. I think if I build this sort of experience of going to international events and playing with foreign players, that hopefully eventually I'll be, very comfortable in those sorts of positions, and I can actually be at my best. And, of course, I didn't bring any bananas to Japan. And, that
Essential.
I mean, yeah, we joke, but, that really seems to matter for me. At home, I have all the bananas I want, and so it's pretty good playing from home.
So actually, can you kind of tell us what lineup you brought in Japan and why you brought it? Because it's a 2-deck 0-ban format, right? So, what 2 decks did you bring, and what is your thought process behind those 2?
So I brought Alana and Hybrid Blood. Hybrid Blood at that time was still pretty new. The deck became more refined, much more rapidly, just right after Rage in the week leading up to SVO. But at that time, the deck was pretty unrefined. It was kind of janky, a lot of like random cards. Wasn't sure how good Calamity Bringer was in the deck, for example. I did bring it because I couldn't ban Alana, but I wasn't really sure about Calamity. Even though he is good against Alana, in a hybrid deck, he can be really inconsistent, and you don't always want to go for Azazel early in every single matchup. So if you're playing Blood Mirror, he can be a really dead card, or if you're facing Rune, for example, it can be really questionable. And my Alana deck also had more removal. It had no Olivia, so it did sometimes reach a point where I just didn't have enough value in my hand to keep, fighting for board. And so that was something that I considered going into SVO. Yeah.
Would you have brought the same two decks, but maybe like different deck list, if you could play this weekend?
Maybe. Yeah, I think I would. I would probably bring those two decks again, and just with probably my SVO lists.
So actually, this year you had like a huge breakout because you've been playing since 2017, right? And 2018 you played most of it. Obviously, I've known you played 2018. But why in particular do you think you've had so much success in 2019? What have you changed differently? Is it some routine, more free time, or do you just feel like you understand the decks more? What's the motivation? What's the change behind it all?
Okay, well, I think one really big turning point for me was actually when I played against you in Brigade Brigade playoffs.
I always play Runecraft. I think I know what you're talking about. I always play Runecraft, right?
Well, I was.
Oh, you were.
We both were, but in the last game, I think I banned Rune from you, and you banned my Force. But yeah, like the last game was you on Puppet, and then I was playing Giant Chimera, and then I didn't play Giant Chimera on 9, even though that was like the obvious play. And then, so like that was like a complete throw, and then I was just like sitting there stunned. I was like, I can't believe that just happened. I was like messaging Lucille. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. And then I basically like sort of like had a conversation with myself. I'm like, I gotta step it up. I can't let that happen again. Next year, like, I have to like, really bring my A game. I'm not gonna sort of make just a terrible performance like that again. And it was like, it's easy to say that after like any loss, but that one for me was just like, it hit me pretty hard for sure. So there was that. And also, like, I started eating bananas during SVO this year. I didn't eat bananas during tournaments last year. This year I did. I also, like, I take a shower right before playing. May or may not help. But bananas definitely really useful. Don't want to be hungry when you're playing.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually remember, I think that match we were 1-1, right? I think it was, like, the last match, too. I don't remember that much. Ooh.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I owe you part of my prize money for throwing. No, I'm messing with you. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's do some kind of fun questions. We just talked about Japan and you participating in Rage. What was the most fun thing you did in Japan? What was the best thing you ate? Tell us about your whole trip.
Okay, so I didn't actually eat anything too expensive because my budget going into the Rage trip was literally just my leftover yen that I had from a trip that I went to a couple years ago with my friends. I had some leftover cash, so I just brought that as my budget. So mostly lived off of convenience store food, but that was obviously pretty great. So I'd say like,
It's really good. It's really good.
The yakisoba bread was probably the highlight. It was really cheap. It's filling. It's good. Yeah. I went to Akihabara with a few other Shadowverse players, so that was pretty fun. Went to karaoke as well. Got to meet Pot. He got sick, unfortunately, during the trip, but it was nice to see him and talk about the game and stuff like that. Yeah, it was fun. Just hanging out with other Shadowverse players, I guess.
I miss y'all. I wish I was there. Okay. So you just won. What is it? 500 or 600? Second place.
Uh, it's 700 including
700.
the webcam money.
Webcam. Oh, right, right, right. Do you have any plans with that money? What do you want to do with that? Did you decide yet? Are you just gonna save it? You know, get some Korean barbecue. What's that?
I mean, there's a ton of really good games coming out over the next year or so. Like there's Astro Chain, there's Pokemon, there's all this other stuff. So that's at least part of that money is going to go towards that. The rest, I guess, I'm going to save.
Respectable. Always save for a rainy day.
Yeah.
All right. So you talked about bananas a lot, right? Just tell us. Oh, you talked about showering too. What's your whole pre-tournament ritual? You know, like, what do you eat for breakfast? Obviously, I know one thing you eat. You know, shower, whatever, stretches, exercise. What do you do before? What is your whole morning routine from when you wake up, and what time do you wake up?
I try to wake up around like 9 to 10, so not too early, not too late. So I usually either make lunch myself if I've got some stuff in the fridge, or if I don't, I'll just like go out and eat something relatively healthy. I'll get like some like curry chicken or something like that. I mean, it's not like super healthy, but it's decent enough. At least it's not fast food. So I'll get lunch and then come back, shower like about 30 minutes before the brackets get seeded. And then, yeah, I just eat a banana between like every couple of rounds.
Definitely recommend a shower. I do that as well. It's an essential.
Yeah.
For the breakfast and stuff. I mean, for me, it's breakfast because I don't wake up that early. Not gonna lie with you. I wake up like an hour and a half before the tournament starts, typically. But I definitely agree with the healthy thing because one time this year, right, I went to McDonald's for breakfast, and I normally go to McDonald's like a lot, right, like before tournaments, and I get like a egg white delight or egg McMuffin, you know, nothing too bad, not like a hamburger, right? Because honestly, kind of lazy. I don't really cook that much, so don't get the hash browns because I ate the hash browns and that really messed me up. So stick away from that grease, and you'll definitely feel it. Like on the fourth round, you'd be like, oh shoot.
Yeah. I actually had a similar experience. Like going back to the match I played against you, that was also the time when I went to lunch at Subway and I got a cookie combo. I ate the cookies and there was like so much sugar in them. Like the sugar from the cookies plus like a drink plus like the Red Bull that I had at home, it was too much. I think at some point like I had like a really bad sugar crash. My head just like started pounding. Yeah, don't go to Subway before, or at least don't eat cookies.
No, you should definitely go to Subway so you can throw it to me again.
Okay.
I owe them a visit. No, I'm messing. Okay. So you talked about how you're gonna spend some of your money on some upcoming games, right? Can you tell us like maybe when you're not playing Shadowverse, what do you tend to be doing? As a hobby? Are you a student? Well, you are a student. I know you're a student, but other people don't. Do you work? Kind of just tell us a little bit more about your personal life.
Yeah. I play Smash Ultimate pretty casually. Sometimes when people, like other Shadowverse players, want to play League, I'll play League with them, but I pretty much only play League with like friends at this point. Haven't really touched solo queue in a long time.
TFT?
Yeah. Yeah, TFT. Honestly, like auto battlers are not really my thing. I gave TFT
I agree.
like a good try. I've not tried Dota Auto Chess. I've not tried Underlords. But honestly, like the genre is just not that appealing for me. I'd rather stick to card games or fighting games, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean I do like some work as well, sort of like for this other company, and. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much me.
Living through winning tournaments now.
I mean, I kind of could, but I mean, that wasn't originally the plan. It's like basically extra money.
Right. You still play Smash Ultimate?
Yeah.
Last
of
time.
course. I was just playing earlier today, actually.
You want to play me after this? Last time last time I whooped you, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, you're Lucina. I remember. I remember. Okay, okay.
Interesting
Yeah.
memory.
No, I've been practicing too. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You know, I guess my main now it changed. Okay. Wait. Yeah, it's Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Wait.
I think
I thought I played Palutena in the past.
you did.
Oh. Yeah.
I just know you pretty well, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. So how did you get into Shadowverse? Like, when did you start? Well, you told us when you started playing, but how did you like find out about it? How did you transition to being a competitive player? That type of thing.
Well, the way I found out about it was like kind of lame. There's like other players, like I know Pod found out through Crip, I think, for watching his like Spartan's videos. The way I found out, I was just like laying in bed one day. I was kind of bored, nothing really to do. Finished my work. I'm like, you know what? I kind of quit the last mobile game I was playing. Maybe I'll just find a new one. So I went on the Google Play Store and it's like scrolled through games and it's like it recommended Shadowverse. It's like a card game. So I was like, okay, no, I played Hearthstone before, but I kind of quit. It didn't like sort of the direction it was going in. I took a look at Shadowverse. Turns out I really like the aesthetic, obviously,
The
and then it
aesthetic?
seemed quite free to play friendly. So I was like, oh, you know, I'll give this game a try, and you know now here we are.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. You found it through as a phone game first, but most people I know found it through like Steam. I found it through Steam. You know, I played on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even know it's a mobile game, so that was cool. All right. How did you come up with your username?
My username? Oh my god, okay. So like I'm sure like if you're watching this video you're probably like in the same demographic. You probably know like Hyperdimension Neptunia. And so like at this point you probably already know like my original name was Noire's waifu because of Noire in Neptunia. She's like
Wait.
she's a
Wait, you watch it? You watch anime? Dude.
I actually don't watch that much anime recently.
Really?
Yeah. I actually watch like highlights on YouTube. I watch like clips. So you get like full episodes like condensed into like 3 minutes. It's like so much more time efficient.
Are you still using my Crunchyroll account?
When I do watch full episodes, I do, yeah.
I always keep up. I always keep up to date with Attack on Titan. I always gotta keep up to date. But that's the only one I'm watching right now.
Oh yeah.
All right, so thanks for coming out and doing this interview with Noire. Is there anything you'd like to say to maybe potential fans watching, family, friends, any shout outs, sponsors, you know, that type of thing? And also you can feel free to plug in your social media as well.
Okay. Yeah, so shout outs to everyone on Disastros, especially to Lucille for helping me out so much with just a bunch of stuff and, you know, just being around. Shout outs to like Pot, V2, Mike, Himari, everybody for all the scrims, discussions, and all the help. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Shout outs to all my real life friends. You know who you are. And sponsors, thank you, Red Bull, Skytech Gaming, NVIDIA, DXR Racer, all great products.
You know it all, DX Racer, Red Bull. Great companies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, my favorite. Anyways, do you want to plug in any social media?
Oh, yeah, my Twitter, follow me at NoireSV. Yeah.
All right. Make sure to follow him, #1 in Pan America. Okay, so yeah, this is Templestowe of Noire, the second place July Cup winner, almost there. Also known as the Princess Cup champion, if you catch up in the game, and it's Flair. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. Please subscribe below if you did, and thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.